Seeling to deliver his lecture on the international accreditation of the medical schools.
Thank you. This is an extraordinary conference. I'm very excited to be here. I'm not going to be talking about the heart. I'm not going to be talking about love. My wife would suggest that certainly with respect to the latter, I may not be qualified. But I need your help. I need your help on behalf of young Indian physicians. So please stick with me. I'm going to be talking about three things today. Number one, of course, I'll be talking about my assigned topic, the remarkable growth of the number of medical schools around the world. But as Dr. Sharma pointed out to me yesterday, we Americans love our freedom. Sometimes, of course, that gets us into trouble. But I'm going to exercise some freedom and talk about two other topics. One, the topic about which I need assistance. And secondly, I'm going to be talking about how Indian physicians are performing on a world-class examination. How are your younger peers doing? Of course, there's an examination called the United States Medical Licensing Examination. It is given all over the world. It's given in multiple locations in India and in scores and scores of countries throughout the world. Same exam, same standard. And the good news I bring you is that Indian physicians are doing very, very well. The first slide is with respect to step one, which is one of the three components of the USMLE. And you will see that this is with respect to pass rate step one takers. The green arrow is reflective of Indian examinees, and you will see they are doing better than their peers are throughout the world by about 10%. They're doing better than all other international examinees. They're also doing better, and listen to this, this is important, they are doing better than U.S. students who are attending international schools. So I think this is very good news about how young Indian physicians and students are performing on an international examination. Likewise, again, with respect to another component, step 2 CK of this examination, again, Indian performance is reflected in the green line. Indian students and graduates are doing better than all international graduates and are doing better, again, than U.S. citizens who happen to be attending international medical schools. So again, that is a compliment to the Indian medical education system. And on a personal note, I've had the pleasure in January of meeting in Hyderabad with many young Indian physicians, and in Jaipur with about 450 medical students at SMS College. And I must say to you on a personal level, I was incredibly impressed with the maturity, with the drive, with the sophistication, and with the intelligence of these young Indian physicians. They are just an asset to this country and a reflection of this country's remarkable medical education system. But what I want to talk about is the remarkable growth in the number of medical schools throughout the world. Right now, there are almost 2,400 medical schools that have been recognized in their respective country. And again, in India, there are almost 300, 269 current operated medical schools which are reflected and recognized by the Medical College of India, so the Medical Council of India. The more interesting thing is the changes that have occurred over the last 12 years. So in India, we have seen an increase of 31% in the number of medical schools listed in the International Medical Education Directory. Brazil, 36%, Pakistan, 38%, St. Kitts and Nevis, if you know where that is, that's a small island in the Caribbean, 50%. St. Lucia, another small island in the Caribbean, 60%. Syria, 33%. So what you're seeing is a dramatic increase in the number of medical schools throughout the world, not just in India, but in Syria, in Pakistan, in Brazil, in the Caribbean. And the question really that asks itself is, does quantity necessarily indicate quality? With the growth in the numbers, is there any guarantee that the quality of those medical schools, particularly the new medical schools, particularly the medical schools that may be proprietary in nature, does quality continue with quantity? There is no, and by the way, there are an additional 83 medical schools listed on the MCI website that are not reflected in the International Medical Education Directory. So the 269 doesn't count the additional 83 that are listed by MCI. So the question is, where is the quality? As you know, there is no generally recognized international accrediting body. And ECFMG, which is the organization I work for, has some concerns, because we certify individuals from throughout the world, last year from 135 different countries, who wish to come to the U.S. Over 1,000 different medical schools. And we know among those schools are some of the best in the world, like some of the schools in India and elsewhere. But we also know, quite frankly, that among those schools are schools that are less able and less quality driven. So the question is, kind of what can be done over a period of time to drive the quality factor? So my organization, ECFMG, which again assesses the readiness of individuals who wish to come to the U.S., has basically said, as of 2023, we will not allow a graduate to come to the U.S. unless he or she graduates from an accredited medical school. Why 2023? Because we know right now many parts of the world do not have accrediting systems in place. It takes time. It's expensive. But as of 2023, which is just 11 years from now, only those individuals who come from an accredited school will be allowed to come to the U.S. Accredited either by standards established in the U.S. by the LCME or other globally accepted criteria, such as those recognized by the World Federation for Medical Education. So what is happening is there's a pilot project involving the World Federation of Medical Education and FAMER, which many of you may know about, very, very active in India. FAMER is the foundation of ECFMG, and the World Federation and FAMER are looking to begin the process of accrediting the accreditors. So, for example, if the Medical Council of India were to be the accrediting body in India, the WIFME and FAMER, in a sense, would accredit MCI so it could do its work, and the graduates of accredited schools in India would then be able to come to the U.S. And there's a process in place involving site visits and review of materials. There has been a pilot involving the Caribbean Accrediting Authority in the Caribbean, which has been reviewed and evaluated by FAMER and WIFME. I could go on further about this process, but I want to go to another point that is critical, because I'm thinking about those young physicians in Hyderabad I met, those young impressive physicians at SMS in Jaipur that I talked with in January, and I need your help. There is much confusion right now about the pathway for Indian physicians who wish to come to the U.S. The internet is full of misinformation. There are Indian physicians who think that pathway will no longer be open to them in the future. I have a different view. I think the pathway for Indian physicians, as one of the many options that able Indian graduates have, is to come to the U.S., that option is still available. But there is confusion with respect to the position being taken by the Medical Council of India with respect to the Statement of Need letter and the no objection letter. If there's anyone here, either from the Medical Council of India or anyone who has first-hand primary source information with respect to that process, I would be delighted to speak to you directly and personally about this matter. Because the last thing I want for those young physicians I met in Hyderabad or Jaipur is for there to be confusion. If they wish to consider the option of coming to the U.S., among the many options available to able Indian graduates, I want them to be clear. I want them to know that there is an option that's available to them. I don't want any confusion on the internet or any confusion that may be coming out of a position taken by MCI to in any way preclude those able physicians from assessing the full range of options that are available to them. So again, if anyone is out there from either the MCI or has first-hand information with respect to this, I would be delighted on behalf of the young physicians of India to speak to you directly. I believe my time is about up. I know no questions, I understand, are possible in this forum, but I would be delighted to speak to anyone directly after this session. Thank you very much for your time, and again, congratulations on an extraordinary conference.
Thank you, Mr. Seeling, for your nice presentation. It is a quite different thing in this session, so that there is the uniformity of the medical education all over the world to have the accreditation of the medical schools. Now I have to hand over the medallion and the certificate.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request our chairperson, Professor Majumdar, to please step forward in the honor of Mr. Seeling. The scientific committee has prepared a medallion and a citation. Thank you very much, Professor Majumdar and Mr. Seeling, for this keynote address.